Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I got another deck profile for you guys today. It's actually my Monarch deck. I've been meaning to update this since the ban list first came out. Ehther is now back at 3, which is great. So Monarchs are literally just one step closer to being back at full power. The only card we need now is Pantheism at 3. Because honestly, I would really love to play this deck at full power again. It's a really fun deck. And honestly, the more they take off from the ban list, the more competitive this deck gets. So that's one of the cool things about it. And again, with Ehther back at 3, the deck just bumped up a lot of consistency. Ehther's literally the best Monarch out of all of them, in my opinion. So, yeah, hopefully Konami will give us that. So, and what's also cool about this deck is that it doesn't require an extra deck, so it's a pretty low budget build. In fact, I can't even think of anything expensive out of this deck other than maybe the Monarch Stormforth and potentially Karaz. But yeah, it's that's a fairly good low budget build, especially for new and returning players. So I definitely recommend it. Anyway, let me go and get started with 3 copies of Ehther. So when this card is tribute summoned, you send 2 Monarch spells and traps. And once you do, you can special summon 1 Monarch with 2,400 or more attack points with 1,000 defense. And also, you can also tribute summon during your opponent's turn. So like, if this card is in your hand, you can banish 1 Monarch spell or trap, and immediately after it resolves, you can tribute summon and bring this card out during your opponent's turn. So it's a really good card to just get things started, really. And it combos really well with Monarch's Stormforth, so yeah. Next, we got Erebus, the Underworld Monarch. Like Ehther, it sends 2 Monarch spells and traps once it's tribute summon. And you can spin back 1 card from your opponent's hand, field, or graveyard, non-targeting. So this card is really powerful. I really like what he can do. Now, these cards are not necessarily Monarchs, but they are pretty necessary for the strategy since you are all about tribute summoning. I'm playing 2 copies of Vanity's Fiend, just to lock out your opponent from special summoning monsters. It also affects you too, so just keep that in mind. And I got 1 Majesty's Fiend, which prevents activated monster effects. So if you can manage to get both Majesty's Fiend, which, by the way, Majesty's Fiend is actually searchable in this deck, as well as Vanity's Fiend out on both of them out on the field, with Domain of the True Monarchs, this is a really hard card. These are really hard cards to get around, because, you completely locked out your opponent. The only thing your opponent's going to have is spells and traps to try to get rid of them, but sometimes that's not always possible. And then last of our big monsters, 1 Karaz, the Light Monarch, just to pop cards on your own side of the field, generally like the Prime Monarch. Like if you have a dead card you need to get rid of, just pop it and you can draw an additional card. So if you pop 2 cards, you can draw 2. But it can't attack on the turn it's summoned, so that's the only bad thing about Karaz. But again, you mainly just use them to get some extra draw power. Alright, next up, 3 copies of Ehther. This gives you instant access to Eidos. Ehther, like when it leaves the field, you can target one of your banished Monarch spells and traps and add it back to your hand. And Eidos just grants you an additional normal summon, or a tribute summon in addition to your normal summon. And another cool thing about Eidos is that you can banish it from grave to bring back Ehther from the grave. So, really powerful combo. And then last of our vassals, I'm playing 2 copies of Mithra. It's a free summon, but you have to give your opponent a token. But that's fine. And if this card is used for tribute summon, you can tribute summon again. So you could basically get almost 3 tribute summons, 2 or 3 tribute summons in 1 turn. So definitely an amazing card. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the monsters. That's 18 in total. Now we're just moving on to spells. Alright, starting off, got to play 3 copies of Domain of the True Monarchs. This is key to the strategy. If you have no extra deck and you control a tribute summon monster, your opponent can't target this card. And also your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. So definitely an amazing card. And also another good thing is that you can also, if you have a level 8 Monarch in your hand, you can make it a level 6. And whenever your tribute summon monsters attack, they gain an additional 800 attack points. So really good way just to beat over powerful boss monsters. Playing 3 Tenacity. It's basically your main searcher. As long as you reveal 1 Monarch with 2,400 or 2,800 attack with 1,000 defense, and you can search out any Monarch spell and trap. So definitely want to run this at 3. I got 3 Return of the Monarchs, which if you tribute them, you can get a search of any Monarch with 2,400 or 2,800 attack with 1,000 defense. 3 Monarch Stormforth, just to tribute your opponent's monsters in place of your own. So definitely a good way just to get free spot removal, non-targeting, and non-destructive too. For 1-ofs, again, Pantheism still at 1. If we can get this back at 3, this deck will become busted as hell. 1 March of the Monarchs, just to protect your tribute summon monsters from targeting effects, and also keeps them from being destroyed by card effects. I got one Rhoda to give me instant access to Dia, as well as 1-for-1. And then Foolish Burial, since I forgot to mention, Erebus does have a graveyard effect where if you send him to the graveyard, or if he is in your graveyard, you can discard one Monarch spell and trap, add any Monarch from your grave back to your hand, including himself, so that's really good. And it's not a hard once per turn, so if you have multiples, you can do that over and over again. Next, 2 Prime Monarch, just to, it's basically a trap monster. It also has a pretty good trap card effect. You can target 2 Monarch spell and traps in your grave, shuffle them back, and then draw 1 card. Or you can use its graveyard effect where you banish 1 Monarch spell and trap, special summon this card as a monster in defense mode, and becomes free tribute fodder. For Floodgates, I'm actually running the Monarch's Erupt, which generally just is skill drain, but it protects your tribute summon monsters. So definitely a good way to lock out your opponent. And then lastly, 1 Escalation of the Monarchs, just to enable us to tribute summon 1 monster during your opponent's turn. So, or battle phase too, I forgot to mention that. So it's both main and battle phase. So Escalation, definitely a much needed one of, and it's searchable like everything else. So yeah, really amazing. Alright, and again, no extra deck, so this makes this a lot easier. But I do have a good side deck on ready, so to deal with combo heavy decks when I'm going second, playing Nibiru. I'm also running Artifact Lanta to deal with Thunder Dragon and Orcus players. For any like back row heavy strategy, Cosmic Cyclone. I feel like Cosmic Cyclone is like the best go-to spell and trap card removal. That or Twin Twisters. I'm also running Summon Limit just to kind of put the, like if I'm going first again, this is actually a good card to side in. That way, like going game 3, if I'm up against a combo heavy deck, this basically just puts that deck in check. And then Red Reboot, just because I didn't really know what else to put in here. So, yeah, that's all I got. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I will catch you guys again next time.